right, welcome to Five Guys here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn the notifications on. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick. And at Five Reasons Sports, I'm in transit again. Alex Donno, again, is comfortably in his home. You can follow him at Alex Donno. Let's get to our great sponsor today. It's Water Cleanup of Florida. You can find him at WCUFL.com. That's WCUFL.com. Your one-stop water and mold cleanup shop. If you've got a leak, your home or business, reach out to them right away. Based in Boca Raton, service the entire Tri-County area. They also go out west. If you need that, they will rebuild it for you if something goes wrong. But again, reach out to them beforehand. As we always say, Michael Robert, their whole team, they got more than 75-star reviews on Google. If you've got the schmutz, they at Water Cleanup of Florida have the guts. Speaking of guts, Alex, do we have the guts to go on another whale hunt this summer? Because that's what Heat fans care about at this stage. They're over this idea of running it back, which to me just means they're tired of Tyler Hero being the third best player. I guess that seems to be what running it back means these days. But obviously, look, Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland had a successful 2 seasons to a degree, but they got eliminated in the first round. Then he got hurt. They would have gotten eliminated anyway. And Boston is just looks like they're just catching every possible break to get to the finals at this stage. And there's some talk that Donovan may ask out. He has a little bit more control over his situation than Dame Lillard did, in the sense that his contract is shorter, and thus if he's going to go to a team, it would have to be a team you would think that he would be willing to re-sign with down the road, as opposed to Dame's contract where he had all the money on it. So I'll start here. If Donovan Mitchell asks out, or if privately or publicly, doesn't seem like the type to make a big stink. Dame wasn't either, and that became an issue when he kind of caved a little bit at the end. If he asks out, should he be, before we get into the specifics here of what they might give it, should he be a Miami Heat target?
Yes, 100%. When we talk about one of the things being missing, in terms of making this team, and I say this despite the fact that they have been to the finals twice within the last, 4 or 5 seasons, but to really make the Heat a bona fide championship contender, consistent scoring. That's something you get from Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Spida averaged, just under 30 points in the playoffs. He averaged just under 27 points during the regular season. He's not long removed from a 71-point regular season performance in a single game. So he gives you that element. And also, we already have, Ethan, the trend of Pat Riley seemingly being interested in him in the past, right? I mean, you know that, there was talk before he got traded to Cleveland about Miami being a potential destination for Mitchell. So we know that there has been interest in him, at least reported interest in him in the past. And listen, adding a guy like this doesn't, guarantee you're a championship contender in today's NBA, having to go through Boston in the East and Denver in the West, but it certainly does put you in a much better spot, in my opinion. So yes, this is a whale hunt that I would like the Heat to strongly consider going on.
Well, they had interest in him in the draft too, but he went before they took Bam, and that worked out pretty well. The scoring element is undeniable. Defensively, I kind of feel like he'd be at least an average defender in the Heat system. He has the tools for it. So I'm with you. Target-wise, in terms of fit-wise, it makes sense. I've said if you're going to give 3 max contracts out, they better be the right guys at this stage. Like, you can't, to me, the Trae Young thing, Brandon Ingram, I don't know how much better it really makes you. This would make you much better. It would give you a chance in Jimmy's window and in Bam's window. So he kind of would straddle both lines here. So now becomes the next question. What are you willing to give up? Because it seems like he has a very limited number of teams he would go to, but we heard that with Dame, right? And then ultimately a team in Milwaukee that we weren't really thinking about popped in there. He has the ties to the New York teams because his father up there and a whole bunch of other things, a lot of ties to New York. But Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell don't seem like the ideal fit. I don't think the Knicks need to go all in on that at this point. And the Nets, I mean, he would be going essentially to a situation that I don't know is much better than Cleveland, actually. I mean, him and Mikal Bridges versus him and Mobley, or him and Allen. I mean, the Garland fit's been a little weird. I mean, Miami's clearly the best fit for him. I don't know that he'll expand the list of teams he would necessarily go to. The other option for him is he could just stay. I don't feel like the bridges are burned to the same degree. So I'll ask this question. How much are you willing to give up? Like, I mean, and do you go all in on it initially, because I think what Heat fans are a little worried about, Alex, is they'll kind of make the low ball offer at first, thinking that they can get him. And, then ultimately some other teams reaches in and snatches him. So would you throw it all on the table at the very beginning and say, here, this is our best offer, take it, or do you delay?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't hesitate too much for, and obviously this is just a small part of the deal, but for Tyler Hero to be part of that deal. If anything, I either want the Heat to finally trade Tyler or sign him to a lifetime contract. That way he doesn't have to be in trade purgatory before every trade deadline, where how many years have we been doing this where they, it seems like he could be traded, but he hasn't. So obviously he would have to be part of the deal. I'm guessing multiple first round draft picks. We know Pat Riley doesn't mind, making draft compensation a part of it if it means getting a proven player. And then how much else, Ethan? Because you hear names like Jaime Jaquez get thrown out there, Nikola Jovic get thrown out there, which is obviously someone I would prefer to hold on to. But would 3 players and two draft picks, could the Heat try to hold on to maybe Jovic or hold on to Jaime Jaquez? Like I'm never of the mind of making, the best offer up front. That's just how a negotiation works. You make a low ball offer, they make you a ridiculous offer, you meet somewhere in the middle. So I'm not putting all my cards on the table at first, but I'd like to keep Jovic if possible. I mean, what do you think it would take?
That's the one I would like to keep if I'm them. I mean, obviously Tyler would be part of it. The number 15 pick can't be traded until they make it. There's issues with unlocking the picks with OKC again. Rozier again becomes a question. Are you keeping Rozier to play with Mitchell? How does that look? I'm not sure that's ideal either. I think now looking back at it, I was in favor of the Rozier trade. I like Rozier as a player. When we start talking about fits, it gets a little bit more complicated now. And then also you gave up the first round pick that you could have used for this. Do they try to recoup the first round pick for Rozier so that they can send it for Mitchell? I think that's a possibility also. I would like them to keep Jovic because I just think his upside. We did an episode on 5 on the Floor about Jovic and Jaquez. I think Jovic's upside is a little higher, whereas Jaquez will contribute a little bit more going forward. Toby says in here it would probably be Tyler, Jaime, Chavez Bryant, 29-30. I think that's possible. I think if that's the trade, I do it. I don't know if you get away with that. I don't know if you get away with pushing it out quite that far. Cleveland would have to be betting essentially on Pat Riley no longer being with the organization, the Heat having some kind of different philosophy and those picks being worth more. Like they might ask for the protections to be taken off of some of those picks going forward. So that's a possibility. But I think that as you look at it overall, you look at the Mitchell situation. I know people are going to say, Heat fans want it both ways. Heat fans are going to say you got to go all in for Mitchell, but you got to have something else going. And then they're going to be frustrated if they, let's say the Mitchell thing takes a long time and Trey is traded somewhere else. So we got to make a decision here, Heat fans. Are you all in on Mitchell and you don't get him? You're okay with essentially trading Tyler for parts and running it back that way? Because that might be what this looks like. I don't know that you're going to be able. You can't. I think the one thing we realize is you can't force a guy to ask out. You can't force a guy to press the agenda. You're kind of stuck on their timeline, on the team's timeline. I would make a good offer first. I would get something where Cleveland is okay with it. At least they can sell it to their fan base and all the rest of this. If Donovan really wants to go, I would not let this linger too long. And again, that Heat fans can say, well, you're having it both ways because you want to keep Jovic. I do. I think I would offer everything but Jovic. I think I would offer Hero. I would offer whatever. If we're talking about 2 future picks, I would offer Jaquez. Say, look, this is what we've got. You're probably not going to do much better from some of the teams that he's interested in. The Nets don't have any picks to offer you, really. Don't really have talent to offer you at this stage if you want to stay competitive. Because he's not going to the Nets if they trade Bridges for him. It doesn't make any sense. They don't have enough else on that roster. So that's the way that I would play it right now. But again, I think Heat fans have to be prepared. This is not a slam dunk in any means. And they'll go on the Pat was asleep and all the rest of this stuff. To me, it's only an issue if the Heat don't show any interest or they just show kind of lazy interest at first in the hope of trying to steal him. I don't think you can steal the player. I think you're going to have to give up assets for the player.
Yeah, and you brought this up near the top. There's still some people wondering if he might stay in Cleveland and agree to a new contract there. Now, if I kind of put myself in Mitchell's shoes, the issue that he's had, same issue at Utah that he's had in Cleveland, where it seems like no matter how well he plays, he just doesn't have the supporting cast to help get him over the top. And, there were reports coming out today, I think, from Windhorst that, he's a little frustrated with the lack of maturity of some of his teammates and the preparedness for the playoffs. So those tend to be clues where it's like we're preparing ourselves for him to ask for a trade. I also saw an article today, for what it's worth, on CBS Sports that claims, there is maybe a growing sentiment that he'll want to stay in Cleveland. But if I judge actions rather than words, Ethan, or I guess this is judging words, but it seems like every time Mitchell is like asked by reporters about his future, he tends to dodge the questions. Like he doesn't go on record and be like, no, I see my future in Cleveland. I'm very happy here. He tends to just kind of avoid it. And if you read into that, well, if he had something nice to say about Cleveland, he probably would say it. He seems to go out of his way to not answer that. But the other thing, I know Heat fans would fear like a repeat of the Dame situation from last year. I think the fact that, it's not like with Dame, I know it was probably difficult for him to play hardball with Portland because like that was his organization. Like he'd been there. He felt synonymous with that organization. I doubt Donovan Mitchell feels that way about the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's only been there for the past 2 years, not to mention the important thing is the added leverage that he has with the shorter contract remaining, that wherever he goes is going to need to likely, before giving up a big package for him, is going to want to know he's willing to re-sign there. So if he does want to get traded, I see Miami as being a good spot because, again, if Mitchell realizes he's kind of run into that wall where no matter how well he plays, he hasn't just been in the right mix of teammates. He hasn't been in the right team to get beyond the second round of the playoffs. I think Miami could be the spot for him to do that. And this is a team I think he should lobby to come to. Oh, you're muted.
Muted now. I don't
there
know
you go.
Oh, there we go. No, I understand that, and I think that is why this should make this easier, which again is going to make it easier than Dame was.
Yeah.
Although there may not be the outward say I want Miami type thing or the clues necessarily that came with Dame through various reporters. I mean, I don't know who Mitchell's guy is in Cleveland right now or nationally. That's a good question I asked. But Dame, it was like, okay, anything Chris Haynes said, you kind of knew.
I know. I don't know who his specific guy is, but he's with CAA. So
it's sort of stuff sort of leaks out that way, and a lot of times to ESPN. I would say CAA. Brian Windhorst is with CAA too. So follow the trail of reporting. All right, we're going to introduce another sponsor here, and then we're going to tell you what we're going to do on next Tuesday.
Hey, it's Ethan Skolnick for the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We've got a great new sponsor that fits with us perfectly. It's called jerseys305.com. That's jerseys305.com. This is your home for dead stock and vintage jerseys from the Heat, Panthers, Dolphins, Marlins, and the other local teams. Their mission was born from a passion for wearing jerseys of the old styles and the past players. Jerseys 305 aims to make every fan stand out from the crowd with unique pieces that you don't commonly see anymore. Maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, but not today. And Jerseys 305 was created by the fans, for the fans. They're diehards just like you. In fact, they're probably listening to this episode right now. So check them out, Jerseys 305, their partnership with 5 Reasons Sports, celebrating with a 10% discount on the next purchase using the code 5 at checkout. Unlock your exclusive savings on the entire vintage collection.
Boy, I got the name of his agent with CAA is Ty Sullivan. That's
okay. Yeah, it's one big happy family, and a lot of those reporters are represented by the same people. That's one of those lessons that I've learned. It's hard to get information sometimes when literally the reporters at ESPN are all working for the exact same people as the players. And again, credit to them for getting the reports, but for people who know the inside basketball on this stuff, that's what it is. All right, we did not do this today, so we're going to mention it. Everybody has the weekend now to get their top 10 lists together. I'm going to do a little better promotion of this. Top 10 South Florida athletes. I know Alfredo already sent me his. He'll be disappointed by this episode today because we put this off. Top 10 South Florida athletes in history. Only 2 stipulations. Must be pro athletes. Must have been with the South Florida team for 3 years. Anything else, you can make your own rules. Get your list together. We're going through the weekend. I promise we're doing this Tuesday around 1 o'clock. We'll let you know the exact time with Alex that I figured out. All right. Want to thank our sponsors, Jerseys 305. If you're looking for a place to watch the Panther game on Friday and say hello, I'll be at with my daughter actually at the new Iceplex in Fort Lauderdale, which is gorgeous, and they're doing skate and watch there. So you can actually skate, and they're not a sponsor, but it's just cool. I want them to be. That you can skate, and they have a big screen where you can watch the game there, and they've got and they had a big crowd for the Panther game. So I'll be out there on Friday. So come say hi. I'll have some cards for our business out there, and let's get all you more on the 5 Reasons Sports train. So it's the Iceplex of Fort Lauderdale at the Old War Memorial on Federal between Broward and Sunrise. All right, thanks, Alex. Thanks to our sponsors. Everybody have a good one.